Questions?
How you doing, Shawn?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Can't complain. A couple for you. First, I saw Camden High was in here to view practice day. Was that on your invitation? They just come in?
No, they do an annual event and bring the entire team. That the ones that work hard over there and do the right things, they bring the team over here to see a practice every year. It's been a tradition now, I think, for about 6 or 7 years, from what I understand. They continue to do a lot of that stuff. We got a Camden guy here on the team, so he practiced a little bit harder. Camden coach over here, so I could maybe coach a little bit harder, but it's good to see those guys out.
Sure. And then, as your title as run game coordinator, I know you work with tight ends a lot, but how much do you actually work with the O-line in that role as run game coordinator, and how do you bounce ideas off of Dowell when you're coming up with a plan for the year?
Yeah, so, my interaction with the offensive line is more through the walkthroughs, and as we put in schemes right there, I'm here to just kind of use my knowledge to tell them how I see this thing works, how I see it working with the tight ends and the offensive line and the backs, and I got to take all those puzzle pieces and kind of put it together so they all understand, what happens at this point, why we have a kick out block here, why you follow a second puller on a pin and pull, and just things of that. But specific work as far as in a team segment or individual combo drills with the offensive line, I'm not doing a lot of that. I got to coach these tight ends and make them the best group out there, and that's my number one concern. So it's a balance. But I do sit in there with Lonnie and Dow, and we bounce things off each other and try to formulate a good plan and get it done.
Shawn, earlier this spring, I don't know if it was Josh, maybe there's a couple other players, they talked about this tight end room in particular, talking about from an identity standpoint, which obviously we have months to go until we get to the season, but being more physical this year. What has that process been like this? Again, I know it's so early on. Is that something that you want to see from this room? What can we kind of expect the South Carolina tight end room to look like this season?
Well, just from my standpoint, anybody that I coach, I want them to be fighters. I want them to be tough, with no back down. And what we've done in that room this spring, and just what are we on practice 11 maybe? What is it? I'm not sure. 10 or 11? I don't even know. They have gotten more physical. And when you think of the physical nature, that can be on the perimeter and blocking for screens. That could be lining up inside in a split flow zone concept, backside kicking out a big defensive end that's crashing down. I try to tell these guys they got to put their face in the fan each and every rep. And to kind of describe that's kind of taking the fan right there and just letting it just blister you, And that's the mentality I want these guys to have. I want them to play with no fear, a face in the fan mentality where there's no back down. They understand what's coming at them. It's going to be tough. It's going to be physical, but that's what they live for. I was in the meeting yesterday, and we had a little shoulder bruise because we did a great job on a split flow cut block coming down the line. And he was like, yeah, my shoulder's sore. I was like, well, God, that's what football's based upon, I was like, you shouldn't even play the game if you're not. We know what we're getting into. We're getting into this to be physical. We're going to have bumps. We're going to have bruises. We're going to be sore. We're going to ache. We're going to hurt. And you got to play through all that. But you got to be fearless. And I said, listen, my shoulder hurts, but I'm going to go out there and do it. And they're going to do it. And we've done a good job, I think, in establishing more of a physical mentality in that room.
Just want to see your thoughts on Josh Simon and what you've seen out of him these first 10 practices or whatever it is.
Josh is one of those tight ends that can play out there on the perimeter. You can utilize him in the throw game. You can bring him in there. He's a willing blocker. And that was one of the things that I had a little bit of concern for, because they didn't have a whole lot of concepts about coming in there and being physical in there. But Josh has done a nice job this spring of establishing his run concepts, doing his job in the run game, becoming a physical player, understanding why he's doing it, and then also out there on the perimeter. But he's going to be a special player for us. I think he can utilize his talents out there with his hands, his feet, his knowledge on the perimeter, making plays. And then also we can bring him in the box, and he's going to be able to handle backside defensive ends, inside linebackers. Shoot, you may even see him zoning up on 3 techniques or noses. But I like Josh, and like everything he brings to the table. I've actually played against Josh. Josh was at Western Kentucky, and we played him in a bowl game, and we kicked his ass there. I told him he had to get a lot tougher, and he's gotten a lot tougher.
Hey, Shawn, got 2 for you. First off, kind of going off that, what's it been like working with Brady Hunt so far?
Man, I love Brady Hunt. He's another guy we played in a bowl game. He played him at Ball State when he was a freshman at Ball State. I love Brady. He's a guy that comes to work every single day. When you have a meeting, I mean, he's all business. He understands concepts. He's got great intelligence. He's not going to wow you with his athleticism. You know, he's a true, almost a prototypical tight end, big, strong guy, inline blocker. But I love everything about him. Football is important to him, Brady. He loves the game. He loves what it can do for him, and he gives us everything he has every single rep. I haven't had I don't know if I've said a negative thing about Brady all year, because he does a nice job in trying to get it right, and he typically gets it right.
And how do you feel like the players have kind of responded to the energy and the coaching style you bring, and what's it been like so far to be back here working with all these guys?
You know, only the players can respond to that. You're going to have to ask those. I try to bring a consistent energy to the room each and every day, consistent energy to our football team each and every day. And the reason why I can bring that is because I love being here. I love playing and coaching with these guys each and every day at the University of South Carolina. I understand everybody says this, but if you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life. And, I come in here every single morning. I wake up, and I'm so ready to get to work, and it's hard to run me out. I love being around these players, this tight end group. I think we got a great group. We can communicate real well. We have a fantastic time in the meeting room. Our time on the field is not enough. Yeah, it's been everything I wanted it to be or needed it to be and more, and I just hope they feel the same way.
Your two sophomore tight ends, Connor and Reed, how have they kind of developed so far this spring, and what's the next step for them?
Yeah, both of those guys have battled a little bit of an injury. Connor's got a little heel bruise right now. Reed he's been battling injuries since he's been here, and he's continued to do that here in the spring. He twisted an ankle out there today, or sprained an ankle out there today. But I see a great future for those guys. Those are winnable guys right there. And the more they work, the more they can get in the line of scrimmage, in the playing field, and get those reps and experience, the more they're going to be prepared to go out there and play winnable games in the future. They just have to develop in a mindset where they've got to be on the field to understand what truly it takes to win in the SEC.
Shawn, I'm not asking for a view into the playbook or anything, but two tight end has been a really good thing for USC in the past couple of years. Is that something that you guys are looking at as a staple? Is it something that's maybe just on the periphery, or have you even decided this?
Well, anytime you look at formations, you want the best players on the field. I mean, it doesn't matter. So if those are two tight ends, a 12 personnel, or if it's a 21 personnel or 11 personnel with a single tight end, or we could go, 4 wide receivers. I mean, you never know, but that's all going to be predicated on who we think the best personnel is to make the plays. So that's a work in progress. We still got a lot of development out of each and every one of our groups, and so that'll be determined at a later date.
Shawn, coming back to South Carolina with some head coaching experience, how has that kind of changed how you view working with an individual room like the tight ends?
It hasn't changed a bit, because when I became a head coach, I didn't change one thing. I just went from coaching a group of 10 or 12 or 15, 16 offensive linemen to coaching 120. That was my group. So I never changed as a coach. I never let my individual coaching talent go away, because I always found a group I wanted to teach. If I was working, when I was at Georgia State, I would work with the scout team offensive line. That was my group, because I wanted to be a coach still. And when I say be a coach, sometimes being a head coach, you're the loneliest man in the room, because you've kind of gotten your group taken away from you. So when everybody goes to meetings, you go back to your office, maybe watch special teams or some third downs, but you're not in there with a group. But it feels really good to come back and have my own group again, have a group that I walk into every single day, familiar faces that I see each and every meeting. You become more involved in their life. You know their backgrounds. You know the ins and outs of their day and their night. And it's just thrilling. But like I said, for me, being a head coach really didn't change who I was. I kept it consistent in what I did, and that's how I do it here.
Shawn, people think about your fiery style and just the way how much passion you have. And I thought something was interesting. Dan Hurley, the basketball coach for UConn, shared that in this era of transfer portal, NIL, that I think a lot of coaches or a lot of people on the outside view coaches maybe taking a step back and not doing that as much. And he came out and says, I think it's the complete opposite. What has your philosophy been in just, being yourself? And do you kind of agree with that in this era where people think, okay, maybe you take the brakes off a little bit, maybe you push down the gas a little bit more?
I'm a pedal to the floor kind of guy. I've always used the term, especially when this transfer portal kind of got going, is never let a player hold you hostage. So I wasn't going to change my coaching style because I may hurt their feelings, and they may say, "Oh, coaches, he chews my ass every day, so I'm going to leave." If that's the case, then he didn't need to be there in the first place. So that's the way I see it, and I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to hold my tongue back. I don't care what player it is or how good they think they are or how good they actually are. If they're doing something wrong, they need to be reprimanded for, and sometimes that's a little bit tough. Sometimes it's a little embarrassing, and that's for coaches as well. But if I were to change, I would need to get out of this business. I would need to go and, I don't know, become a librarian or something, because that's just not who I am.
I want to ask you about Mike Smith. I know obviously he's not here with y'all right now, but
Yeah.
what are your thoughts about what y'all are going to be getting when he gets in June?
Are you kidding me? A multi-dimensional tight end that can go play on the perimeter, inside. He's got talents. He's a big-time ball player. Really excited about having him getting up here as soon as possible, getting in the mix, because he's real similar to Simon. Can do a lot of those things out there, away from the line of scrimmage, or I say a little bit more width and playing in space. But he's going to be a talented guy, and when he gets in here, he'll probably be in the mix right away. That's just how I view him.
I know we've still got a little bit of time till the spring game, but have you started thinking at all kind of about what it's going to be like to be back in Williams-Brice with some fans in the stadium and all that?
I think about it every single day. I mean, I really do. I mean, that's, what drives you. I'm a fiery guy. I love fans. I love noise. I love excitement. I love that stadium over there and everything about it. So, yeah, I'm sure, 7 o'clock start? I can't wait to stand there. I mean, it's almost really surreal for me, because, here I was, I come and I play in a state championship right here and win a state championship, and that was unbelievable. I come in here as a coach and assistant coach, and then standing there on that first game and listening to 2001 and then the fans, and it's just another unbelievable moment. And then I was an opposing head coach coming in here, and all those feelings they just overwhelm you, and to think that doesn't happen to a coach is truly silly. It does. It does. So next Saturday night, I'm gonna take a step back, and I'll probably be a little bit crazy come next Saturday night, because it's game day, and it's in Williams-Brice. All right. Thank you all very much. Appreciate y'all.